And welcome back to another systemcontrol.com tutorial. In this tutorial I will show you how to make a simple animation utilizing Adobe Photoshop. Within here we're going to go ahead and make sure we have the correct panels open in your Adobe Photoshop. So once you have Adobe Photoshop open, you're going to go ahead and go up to Window, and we're going to make sure Layers is check marked and Tools is check marked. Then we're also going to have a third one, which is Animation. Once you click on Animation and check mark that one, you're going to see the animation panel pop up. It could be on the bottom, it could pop up wherever else that it was previously located. In this case, it's on the bottom. So now from here, once you have those panels up, we're going to go to File and New, and then we're going to create our dimensions, and we'll say 300 width by 150 height, and we'll keep the resolution relatively low at 72. Once you match up those settings, go ahead and press OK. And then as you see here, I actually have a grid placed on my canvas, which I'm going to take off because it can be pretty confusing if you don't understand what the grid is actually doing. Usually use that for lining up objects and stuff like that, but I'm going to go to View and uncheck Extras to remove that. Okay, so now that we have our Photoshop set up and our canvas up, we're going to go ahead and create a new layer by clicking this icon that looks like a sticky note on the bottom right underneath your layers panel. And I am going to click on this icon here, which is for my text editing. And once I have that clicked, I'm going to go ahead and click on my canvas wherever I want to start to write. Left mouse click down onto my canvas. You should see a little cursor ready for me to type. So I'm going to say System Space Control. Now we can go ahead and style this a little bit, maybe make it bigger. That's maybe too big for this canvas, and that's fine for now. Now we need just one more, we'll say text or image or whatever you want to put on. This will work for text or images. I'm going to do another text, and I'll say .com, and we'll make .com bigger. We'll say 48. Okay, so what I want to do is think where it's going to start and where it's going to end. Now, right now, it may seem a little odd, but you'll get a hang of it. So the first thing I need to do is position where these objects are going to start. For example, if I want system control this lettering to come from the top left, then I would start it in the top left for my animation. So if I wanted to do this and come through, or if I wanted to come in and stop here, I would start it from the top left. If I want it from the top, I would start it from the top, so I'd place it out of the canvas area so then it can actually slide down and appear there. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is use my my keyboard to move around these objects rather than my mouse, because I have a little bit more exact positioning available on my keyboard. So what you can do is go ahead and mess with it. You can use either or, your mouse or your keyboard, but I use my keyboard preferably. So what I do is I click on the layer that I want to move, which is highlighted there. Then I'm going to use Control and the arrow keys, and I can move it 1 pixel at a time. If I want to move multiple, which I believe is 10 pixels, you do Control and Shift, and we'll move 10 pixels at a time just to move a little bit faster. So just out of frame, I'm moving system control. Now with .com, I actually want that just to fade in. So what I do is just turn off the eye. Now if you notice down here, or wherever your animation panel is, you actually have one frame. Now automatically I have one frame, but we need to have multiple for it to actually have some type of animation or movement going on. So now that I have my setup started, which is my system control up here in this area, because it's coming from the top down to the bottom or within the canvas area, and then my .com is right there, just I turned off the eye, and what that is doing is making it invisible. But what I'm going to do in the next frame is I'm going to actually turn that on and bring it down. So let me go ahead and jump to that and show you. So within my animation frame panel, I'm going to go ahead and left mouse click this, which actually looks just like the icon for making a new layer in your layers panel. But what it's going to do is make another frame. So I'm going to make a new frame. Now I'm on frame 2. So notice what I'm selected on. This blue highlight is on frame 2, not 1. So if you're over like this, you need to click on frame 2. So once we're on frame 2, now within this frame, we're going to go ahead and do the ending. So frame 1 was the start. That's the starting position of all your objects within your animation. And frame 2, which is the last frame, is the end of the whole animation or segment of movement. But in this case, this is going to be the last one because we're just making a simple animation. So what I'm going to do in this second frame, or you can call it your last frame of the animation or movement, is I'm going to actually move down system control. So I'm going to hold shift and I'm just going to move it down to wherever I want. And I'm left mouse clicking and pulling it down to the position I want it to be when it's done moving. So we'll say right there. Then the next thing I'm going to do is turn on this layer, which is the .com. And by turning it on, I mean turn on the eye so it's open. So now that it's actually open, the eye's open, you can see that layer, which will show on our canvas. So what I did was I pulled down system control to the area that I want it to appear or be at its final state. And same with .com, I want it to show in its final state. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold control on my keyboard and left mouse click the frame 1 while being on frame 2. So then if you do that by holding control and left mouse clicking on frame 1 while being on frame 2, you're going to have both of them highlighted. Then what I do is I left mouse click tween, which is this icon here, and this will make the frames in between number 1 and 2, which is number 1, frame 1 is the starting point and frame 2 is the ending point of the movement or animation. So I'm going to go ahead and click tween while having frame 1 and frame 2 highlighted. So I'm going to left mouse click tween, and from here a properties box is going to pop up. Now within here you have tween width, and within this we're going to say selection. So we're going to have tween width selection, and then the frames we want to add between it. So the less frames you have, the faster and the less smooth your animation is going to be. So depending on how complex the movement is realistically how you need to gauge your frames. Do understand that the amount of frames that you add will make the file size of the GIF file bigger, and the GIF is the format of this animation, which we'll see coming up here shortly. So in this case I'm going to do, let's say, 9 frames, and I'm going to add it to all layers, and the parameters are going to be position, opacity, and effects. So the position would be obviously the position of the object. The opacity would be how transparent it is, and which then from there the effects would be what style effects we added to the actual layer itself. Okay, so we're actually just to make sure that all those are checkboxed, we're going to have layers selected as the radio button, and then frames to add, we're going to add 9 frames, and we're going to tween with the selection. Go ahead and press OK when you match up those options, and from there it's going to add in the layers or frames in between frame 1 and 2. So frame 1 stayed at 1, so that was the beginning state, and frame 11 was actually frame 2 before, so this is the ending state. So let's go ahead and play that, and what you can do is just click left mouse click anywhere on the frame set, but we'll go ahead and left mouse click on frame 1 and press play here, which is that play button, and we'll play it and we can see what it does. So if you see what it does is it actually goes really fast, and the reason being is because there's no pausing in between it. So what we can do is for frame 1 we want it to go 0, 0, 0 seconds. So if you see these seconds here, if you click on this drop down, this black arrow, it drops down on how many seconds you want it to delay between each frame. By clicking frame 1, we can hold down the button, shift on your keyboard, and click the last frame, which will highlight all the frames in between, and from there you have them all highlighted. Now what we're going to do is change all of the delays between the frames, and to do that you select all of the frames, then any one of these that are selected you can just click this black arrow, doesn't matter which one, and we're going to do 0.2 seconds. Okay, now on the last frame, which we just click on it so we select just that frame, we're going to delay this 1 second. So it's 0.2 seconds between each frame, which is um, going through here. And once it gets to the 11th frame, it's going to wait 1 second. So let's go ahead and play that and see what happens. Okay, so let's actually make that a little bit smoother, and we're gonna click on the first frame and all the way to the 10th frame, because the 11th one we already set as 1 second wait. So we're gonna go ahead and go to 0.1 seconds delay, and let's go ahead and play that. So that's a little bit smoother. Okay, so the next step would be how to actually save this, so then people would be able to see this when you upload it to, let's say, PhotoBucket, for example. So what you need to do is save this as a GIF, and this is where the GIF comes in. So it's a .gif, and what you do from this point is, once you're done with your animation, is you go up to File, and you're going to go to Save for Web and Devices. And what this is going to do is give you a preview of what your animation is going to look like. So you can press play and you can see what it's going to look like on the web once you upload it. Okay, so once it looks good, if you need to make any tweaking, just press cancel and go ahead and tweak your frames and through your layers. But if not and you're good to go, look at this looping option. So this looping option says forever. If we click down, it's going to pop up a drop down. So we do it one time, we can do it forever, which is infinite, and it's going to keep looping over and over, or you can do an other. And this other is going to say how many times you want to actually loop it before it actually pauses until the next reload. So plays one time, two times, whatever you wanted to put in here, 100 times. In this case, we're just going to cancel out of here, and we're going to do forever, looping options as forever. Then from this point, you just click save once you're satisfied. And also, wait, before we go there, make sure that it's set as a GIF. Not a JPEG, but a GIF. If for whatever reason this is on something else other than a GIF or GIF, you need to select that up here in the top right. Then at this point, go ahead and click save. And when we click save, we go ahead and find a location and save it. You can name it whatever you want. Just make sure the file format is saved as a GIF or GIF. Okay, and let's go ahead and see the final result of that. And there's the final result. And it just keeps looping over and over. Well, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them here. Don't forget to subscribe and rate. I hope to see you in the next tutorials. Systemcontrol.com